I've spent most of my life as a ranger in Wind Cave National Park, tucked away in the Black Hills of South Dakota. It's a place of breathtaking beauty, rolling prairies, dense forests, rocky hills. But the real heart of this park isn't above ground. It's below, in the vast, twisting labyrinth known as Wind Cave. The cave breathes, literally. When the air pressure shifts, you can feel gusts of wind rushing in and out, as if the earth itself were alive. The Lakota people always believed this cave was sacred, a doorway between worlds. Some say their ancestors emerged from the dark passages during the dawn of creation. I never gave those stories much thought, until the day we lost someone down there. It was early fall, 2003, when the call came through. 2 hikers had spotted a child running toward the cave entrance. Concerned, they followed. One of them, let's call him Mark, crawled in after the boy, telling his friend he'd be right back. But minutes turned into an hour, and Mark never returned. The friend ran for help. By the time our search team arrived, daylight was fading, and the cave exhaled its icy breath as we squeezed through the narrow opening. Inside, the tunnels twisted like a spider's web. Jagged walls scraped our shoulders as we crawled deeper, our headlamps carving weak beams into the black. Not long after, we found our first sign, a shred of blue fabric snagged on rock. Further in, a boot print pressed into damp clay. And then, worse, blood smeared along the stone, fresh enough to glisten under our lights. Every step we took, the cave fought us. Passages narrowed to slits. Pools of still water reflected our lights back at us. In one chamber, claw marks raked across the clay walls, frantic scratches, like someone had tried to dig their way out. Beside them lay a torn glove, marks. We pushed deeper, but radios went silent, and the air grew heavy. Some cavers swore they heard faint whispers in the wind. Others dismissed it as the cave breathing. But standing in that pitch-dark silence, it was hard to shake the feeling that we weren't alone. For 6 days, we searched. We mapped new tunnels, crawled through impossible spaces, even reached a hidden lake where Mark's boot prints trailed off into the muck. But his body was never found. On the 7th day, the search was called off. All we had were fragments, a few drops of blood, a crushed water bottle, a single boot buried in clay. The rest of him gone. To this day, I still guide tours at Wind Cave. I still walk its tunnels, but I don't go deep anymore. Not unless I have to. And when I do, I keep my light close and my ears sharp, because in the dark, the cave still breathes. And sometimes, I swear it isn't just the wind. When you work in the wilderness long enough, you start to hear the old stories, the ones locals only whisper after dark. Up in northern Minnesota, near the Canadian border, there's a place called Voyageurs National Park. It's beautiful, thick forests, endless lakes, islands scattered like broken glass across the water. But hidden beneath all that beauty is a tale I wish I'd never heard. The story of the burned man. Back in the early 1900s, long before the park was established, this was logging country. Camps dotted the shoreline, filled with men working the timber. According to legend, one camp caught fire late one night. Flames tore through the wooden cabins, trapping several workers inside. Most escaped, but one man didn't make it. His body was never found, just ashes, and a story that grew darker with every telling. Locals began saying his spirit still roamed the forest, burned and twisted, searching for the men who left him behind. Some called him a warning. Others called him revenge. Fast forward to 2005. I was a seasonal ranger, stationed near Cabedo Gama Lake. One evening, a group of campers rushed into the visitor center. They were pale, shaken, barely able to explain what they'd seen. They said they were hiking a trail at dusk when the forest went quiet, No birds, no insects, nothing. Then, the smell of smoke drifted in. Not campfire smoke, but acrid, chemical, like burning tar. And out of the tree line, a man appeared. His skin charred black, parts of his face still glowing like dying embers. He moved slowly, dragging one leg, leaving ash in the dirt where he walked. The campers swore he turned his head toward them. His mouth opened, as if to scream, but no sound came, just the hiss of burning wood. That was when they ran. I didn't believe them, not at first, but duty is duty. So, with another ranger, I went out that night. The woods were silent, too silent, and then we smelled it. Smoke, sharp and bitter. We followed the trail until we found something in the dirt, footprints, but strange. The soil where they pressed down wasn't just dark, it was scorched, as if something hot had stepped there. Further ahead, we found a tree with its bark blistered black, still warm to the touch, though there hadn't been a fire in weeks. My partner muttered under his breath, "We shouldn't be here." And for the first time, I agreed. Just as we turned back, I saw him. For only a second. Between the pines stood a figure, bent and burned, smoke rising from his skin as if he were still on fire. His eyes caught the beam of my flashlight, hollow, yet burning red inside. He didn't move toward us. He didn't have to. One glance was enough to send us running. When we finally reached the truck, the smell of smoke lingered on our clothes, thick and choking. But here's the part I'll never forget: our boots. The soles were smeared with ash, even though the trail had been clean when we started. Since then, I've met other campers who've told me similar stories. Always the same smell, the same silence, the same burned man in the trees. Whether he's real or not, I can't say for sure. But I know this: if you ever find yourself in Voyageurs National Park and the woods go silent and the smell of smoke creeps in, leave. Because some fires never die. My name's Roger, and I spent more than 2 decades working as a park ranger in northern Minnesota. Over the years, I've dealt with my fair share of strange calls, missing hikers, unexplained noises, even the occasional wild animal attack. But nothing compares to what I experienced on Wolf Island. Wolf Island sits deep inside Voyageurs National Park. It's quiet, isolated, and only reachable by boat. Campers love it because it feels untouched, far from the noise of the world. But to us rangers, it always carried an uneasy weight. Too many reports over the years: fires seen at night, screams drifting across the water, campers who swore they weren't alone. I brushed it off for most of my career, until the summer of 2003, when I got the call. A group of campers radioed in after midnight. Their voices were panicked, almost incoherent. All we caught clearly was, "There's someone here. He's not supposed to be here." My partner and I launched a boat and headed across the black water. The ride felt endless, the only sound the motor and the lapping of waves. But the closer we got, the more I noticed a strange glow on the treeline, like firelight. When we landed, the glow had vanished. The campsite was eerily quiet, but the fire pit was still warm. Tents stood half-zipped, belongings scattered, as if the campers had left in a hurry. And then the smell hit us. Metallic, heavy, blood. Behind one of the tents, we found a man lying face down. His body was mangled, torn apart in a way no animal could have done. His skin was burned in patches, as though he'd been dragged through flames. My partner whispered, "This wasn't a bear." We radioed for backup, but before we could finish, the woods went dead silent. No crickets, no wind, just the sound of something heavy moving between the trees. I swung my flashlight toward the sound, and that's when I saw him. A figure, tall and twisted, his skin blackened like charred wood, eyes glowing faint red. He stood just at the edge of the tree-line, watching us. I froze. My partner raised his weapon, but before he could act, the figure turned and slipped back into the dark, leaving only the smell of smoke behind. By the time backup arrived, the island looked normal again. The body was still there, but there were no signs of anyone else. No footprints, no tracks, nothing to explain what we'd seen. The official report blamed it on a wild animal attack, but we both knew that wasn't the truth. The campers never returned to claim their things. And to this day, no one has ever been charged or even named in connection to what happened on Wolf Island. I've spent years trying to push that night out of my memory, but sometimes when I'm near the water, I swear I smell smoke. And I know, deep down, whatever I saw on Wolf Island, it's still out there. So if you ever find yourself camping in Voyageurs National Park and the night goes quiet and you catch the scent of burning wood, leave. Because some islands are better left alone.